AEW's first foray into the world of video games is a bold attempt to recapture the magic of the classic arcade-style WWE games of old, but will it struggle to meet the lofty expectations that wrestling fans and gamers have placed on the title? The game was announced back in 2020 at the AEW Games 1.0 special event, where it was revealed that the former developer of the WWE series, Yuke's, would be developing the game. Having departed the WWE 2K series following the release of WWE 2K19 in 2018, there were high expectations for what the developer could do away from the WWE. Not only that, but Kenny Omega revealed that the legendary game developer Geita Iwashita, known for directing WWF No Mercy and WCW NWO Revenge, would be directing this series. Not only was Yuke's at the helm, but it was also being published by THQ Nordic, the spiritual successor to THQ, and so things were looking pretty good for the game. Now, AEW Fight Forever tries to stand out from the wrestling game pack by embracing the arcade style of gameplay that many of us grew up playing. While, the WWE series has edged closer and closer to simulation and trying to perfectly capture the TV experience in game form. Instead of photorealistic graphics, Fight Forever has chosen an art style that allows it to be a little bit more timeless, with a more cartoony and animated style that appears like a blend between 2011's WWE All-Stars and 2019's WWE Battlegrounds, albeit slightly more realistic than both of those games. While some online have criticised the look of the game as rather dated by comparing it to PS3 games or even mobile games, when it's in motion and playing on a PS5 and using a 4K TV, it does actually look quite good, and you kind of get used to the unique and quirky visual style very quickly. Certain character models stand out compared to others though. CM Punk's face looks a little iffy at times on the character selection screen, while Adam Cole and Sting both look fantastic, particularly the latter. Speaking of the characters though, AEW Fight Forever hosts a very strange roster in my opinion. With 53 wrestlers in the game at launch, not including the Day 1 DLC of FTR and Matt Hardy, there are some surprising picks and some surprising omissions. Including in the game are the majority of AEW's main event scene, including Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Hangman Page, CM Punk, MJF, Bryan Danielson, and Jon Moxley, but many of them feature out-of-date attires and entrance themes. Below the main event scene is where the game makes some really strange choices for its roster. While it features names like Christian Cage, Miro, Malachi Black, and Jeff Hardy, it lacks the Acclaimed, the Jericho Appreciation Society, Samoa Joe, and Matt Hardy, who is only available to those who pre-order the game, despite debuting in 2020, while Jeff Hardy, who's in the base roster, made his debut just last year. Although the women's roster is fairly impressive considering the male roster's omissions. It's headlined by Jade Cargill, Ruby Soho, and Britt Baker, and there are 14 women to choose from, but it does lack some of the star power that a Toni Storm or a Saraya or a Jamie Hayter would bring. All this to say, while there is some depth to the roster, you'll very quickly run out of unique matches or characters to play as after a little while. The gameplay is where the game really shines. As previously mentioned, AEW Fight Forever was trying to capture the spirit of the classic WWF No Mercy game with its gameplay and in-ring action. And I can safely say that it has done so. Matches are slightly more fast-paced, over the top, and most importantly, fun. You control your wrestlers via fairly easy pick up and play controls. A high attack or a punch is square/X, triangle or Y is a low attack or kick, and X and A is a grapple. You can modify each attack for a strong attack by holding down each corresponding button, allowing you to really dish out the damage and, access the repertoire of moves that your wrestler has. The hardest thing to master though, and it's really annoying me, is reversals. R1 or RB is your strike block button, while L1 and LB is your grapple block button. While it's a decent system, it rarely works in practice, and you never know if you've actually managed to escape the move or not. Even the tutorial doesn't give you any indication of what constitutes a good timing on your reversal. For the most part, it's fairly easy for someone to pick up and play though, which is what they were aiming for, especially compared to the WWE games, which feature in-depth controls that, let's face it, are often overwhelming for new players. The game works on a momentum system. As you deliver moves and strikes to your opponent, a gauge will fill up which will allow you to hit your signature move on your opponent. Each wrestler can have up to 5 signatures, such as Kenny Omega having a litany of V-triggers or Snapdragon suplexes, and you can hit them as many times as you want while the gauge is full. I played a match between Kenny Omega and CM Punk, well, for no reason whatsoever, and I was able to hit multiple V-triggers with each one, Punk reacting differently until he finally went down to one knee, and I was able to hit in a Snapdragon suplex to take him down to the mat. Once you've tired of hitting your signature moves, you can then taunt to earn your special finisher. Like signature moves, each wrestler can have up to 5, but you have a much smaller window to be able to hit it, and your opponent, if playing on the harder difficulties, will do whatever they can to reverse the move, as it will likely mean the match is about to end. However, despite meeting the more arcade and fast-paced style that they aimed for, the matches are over far too quick for my liking. In the near 50 matches that I've played in the game, only one match has gone past 5 minutes, which was the Casino Battle Royal match, and there's a little bit more on that later. But the majority of my matches are over within 3 minutes. Now, the game features 9 match types at launch, including singles matches, tag team matches, ladder matches, casino battle royals, and the much-hyped exploding barbed wire deathmatch. I've spent a good bit of time in each mode and can safely say that the more hardcore and arcadey you go with the match type, the more fun you'll have with this game. Falls Count Anywhere, Lights Out, and the exploding barbed wire deathmatch is the peak of what this game should be. Absolute carnage. Now, a Lights Out match is AEW's version of WWE's Extreme Rules match, and it is captured incredibly well in this game. To test this match out, I chose to play as Jon Moxley against Hangman Page. And, like in real life, Moxley was quickly busted open via a barbed wire mop and a kendo stick. Now, Ukes has included a wealth of weapons for you to punish your opponent with, including steel chairs, barbed wire bats, tables, and thumbtacks, a weapon which is rarely seen in wrestling video games. And this match can quickly get brutal, especially when delivering high-impact moves like the Paradigm Shift or the Death Rider onto the tacks. Now, AEW Fight Forever doesn't shy away from the blood either, as it fully embraces the extreme stakes of a lights-out match by painting the canvas and the wrestlers in red. The barbed wire exploding death match is a fun novelty, but I worry it will soon lose its appeal. The explosion always takes place after 120 seconds, meaning that the big novelty of the match is over with far too quickly. The rest of the match you'll spend bashing your opponent into the ropes as explosions erupt around ringside. You know, it's fun, but I really struggle to see why I would replay this match over and over again. It's just a bit boring now. As expected, AEW Fight Forever includes tag team wrestling, but with a pretty poor tag team roster, it's hard to get excited about the potential matches you could have. At launch, the game only features 4 tag teams: the Lucha Brothers, the Young Bucks, the Best Friends, and the Inner Circle. So as you can see, you will quickly go through the teams. Now, despite this, the actual gameplay of tag team matches is fun and chaotic enough that there is at least some replayability there. The only major annoyance is that during tag team matches is that your opponent's partner will, without fail, break up the pinfall attempt every single time, and it's incredibly difficult to actually end a match. Now, I'm unsure if this is actually a bug or if it's by design, but every time I wanted to beat my opponent, I'd have to attack their tag team partner first and leave them lying with a super kick or some big impact maneuver so that I could actually win the match. It's kind of a problem that's plagued the WWE series, but hopefully it gets fixed here. Now, the other major match type is the Casino Battle Royal, AEW's signature Royal Rumble alternative. While the game does a good job in replicating the format of it, it struggles really to capture the spirit of it. Hampered by the limit of only 4 wrestlers being able to appear on screen at one time, it means that you're just playing like a rotating cast of a fatal 4-way match until you're down to the final 2. And eliminations are far too easy here as well. Rather than having a mini game to eliminate your opponent, it is simply a case of hitting them enough times before they fall off the apron. Granted, this does provide you with some really cool spots, such as hitting your opponent with a finisher, such as Malachi Black's Black Mass Kick, only for your opponent to stumble towards the ropes and out of the ring. It just means that matches will be far too easy to get rid of opponents, but also far too easy to botch and be thrown out early yourself. Once again, this is where the roster shows where it's lacking. At the time of this review, you're unable to choose who's in a match outside of your chosen wrestler, while the rest of the match is made up of the same wrestlers pretty much every match. Road to Elite is AEW Fight Forever's career mode. You play as either a created wrestler or an already established AEW star and go through a year in All Elite Wrestling. The way it is structured is it's broken down into 4 blocks, with 4 weeks of Dynamite or Rampage or Dark, with the final week playing host to one of AEW's signature pay-per-views. And for my first playthrough, I chose Adam Cole, baby. The story begins at Double or Nothing 2019, AEW's first ever event, with you being a featured star in the Casino Battle Royale match with the winner will receive a world title match at All Out. And from there, it opened up, and I had the option to go out and explore the city of Washington, D.C. via either a press conference, sightseeing, or a minigame. While out sightseeing, I bumped into Nyla Rose to explain that she was a hometown star and the crowd would be out supporting her that night. This is the extent of a lot of these backstage interactions. Your wrestler meets another wrestler, they talk for a bit, your wrestler asks for a photo, and it's the end of the interaction. It feels a little bit of a letdown from what they advertised and hyped up. Alongside these interactions, you can also work out and build up your energy by eating. Due to playing as Cole, I wasn't able to earn any skills or boost my stats that I would have earned via working out, which is something you can do if you create your own wrestler. After 4 weeks of matches on Dynamite, it then got to All Out, where I defeated Chris Jericho for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. However, this is the only time, aside from the very last match in the career mode, they even reference or show your wrestler with the belt. Not once did I have a storyline after winning the title in which I had to defend the title. Following the end of the second Double or Nothing you play, the story just ends. You can't continue on playing with it with the same wrestler, and that's it, it's over. While I'm intrigued to see how it differs wrestler to wrestler, I have started in my second playthrough as Bryan Danielson, and so far it is slightly different. It just didn't capture me during the first run through. Not only does it not capture me, but it's shockingly short, as I completed all of the content in under 2 hours. For what was touted as an in-depth career mode, it can only be seen as a bit of a letdown. Yes, I had fun with it at times, but it doesn't feel like the mode that many were hoping it would be. I can't see how this mode keeps players hooked past their second playthrough, really, if they get that far with it. If you're paying attention, I mentioned mini-games are featured in the career mode as an activity you can take part in to build to pay-per-views, but they're not just exclusive to the Road to Elite mode. You're able to play them in exhibition mode too. While a fun novelty, I found myself really bored of these mini-games very quickly. Out of the ones available to me, I found myself enjoying the baseball one, and that was about it. None of them stand out to me as particularly fun or gives me a reason to run home, turn on the game, and play them. I am sure that these are in there for someone, and there will be people out there who love them, but I just couldn't get into them. A big part of wrestling games is the creation mode. The ability to create yourself or your favorite wrestlers from other companies is a big part of the longevity and the replayability of WWE's 2K series. With AEW's slim roster and the fact that they host the yearly Forbidden Door pay-per-view, one would expect that they have a decent enough creation suite to be able to open the Forbidden Door and create your favorite wrestlers, not included. You would be wrong. The creation suite is seriously lacking, and it will be a struggle to create anyone real in the game. This is partly because there's no way to upload logos or designs to the game, so you're kind of stuck with the already designed tattoos and logos in the game. I was able to design a decent enough version of me, but it lacked the in-depth controls that we've come to expect from wrestling video games. While the creator tools for wrestlers is lacking, the moveset creator is where the suite shines. Filled to the brim with animations of moves, it is very straightforward to be able to create a moveset or modify an existing one with all your favorite moves. Yuke's has ported over many of their previously motion capture maneuvers from years past, so there is a wide range on show, such as the F5's animation from SmackDown Here Comes the Pain, which is included, although the name of the move is cheekily named Diverticulitis, as a little nod to Brock Lesnar. With a wide range of entrance motions, including upwards of 60 plus generic superstar motions, with many being inspired or exact copies of WWE superstars, even if they don't look the part, they can at least act the part. Yuke's has seemingly included nearly the entire audio library of AEW, including tracks for people who are not even in the game. So the music choices for entrances is not limited in the slightest. Hell, it even includes Cody Rhodes' Kingdom, which you can't even use in the creation suite in WWE 2K23. AEW Fight Forever's creation suite is something that I hope they expand on and build upon over time, and that they'll be able to include the tools that keep players playing long after they get bored of the in-ring action. You know, it's really hard to decide how I feel about this game. On one hand, I really do love the arcade style that the gameplay has adopted, and I find myself wanting to go home and play matches in the game. But on the other hand, when I do get home and I'm playing the game, I find myself quickly tired of it, and I feel like I've exhausted everything that I can do. And after 13 hours of playing the game, it's not a good sign. It's hard not to compare AEW Fight Forever to WWE 2K23, but if you had to choose which title to buy right now, it's a no-brainer that WWE 2K23 would be the obvious choice. In the build-up to its launch, AEW's Evil Uno has compared AEW Fight Forever to No Man's Sky. a game that was released in 2016 with extremely high expectations that had been built up by years of hype and promises from its developer. But when it launched, people realised it was nothing more than an indie game that had too big of a platform and had promised too much. However, in the years since its release, No Man's Sky has turned it around and has become one of the most expansive and fun survival games on the market, with numerous free expansions that add massive amounts of story content and gameplay overhauls. And I think Evil Uno's comparison is shockingly accurate, even if he was only meaning it for the latter aspect. AEW Fight Forever is a game that fans were expecting and wanting too much from, and it fails to meet those expectations, well, for the majority of the audience anyway. It is a game that hopefully will be built upon for years via DLC and free updates, and perhaps then the expectations will be met. But as of right now, AEW Fight Forever is going to struggle to keep players invested long enough to be able to experience those updates.